Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to paint orchid flower, and this one is the foxtail orchid flower. So basically we need to create a string, and in this particular string flowers are coming from every direction and couple of leaves at the top. So the leaves are a little bit longer and wider. So you can create a rough sketch for yourself just to understand how long your string and what kind of leaf you needed. So this is my string. Now this much is fine. Now we can start with the watercolor painting. You can have your own composition. You can have multiple strings, totally fine, but I am showing you only one just to demonstrate how you can paint it using very simple and easy technique. So even if you are a beginner, don't worry, I'm sure you can do it with little practice. So let's start with today's video. So basically for the first layer, I'm going to use very light shade of purple color. So what I have done is I have mixed a violet and a little bit of red together, and we need to use very light shade, so use more water and less pigment. And you can start creating petals like these. So these are small flowers, so you can create 4 petals at one direction like this. The size could vary from one petal to another, that is totally fine, but this flower consists of 4 to 5 petals. So I'm creating 4 petals like this with lighter color, and we are going to paint one more petal with darker color. So just repeat it throughout the string. And to create smaller petals, as you can see, I'm using only tip of my brush to paint. So you need little practice around these things, and you can easily do something like this throughout this string. Now to create petals, you need little bit of pressure into your brush, and as per the petal shape you need to move your brush little bit towards left side or right side. So that's all I'm doing, and I'm creating single flower which is basically in a group. So the easier version is you can put some random texture with the lighter color to make it look like these are flowers, but I think making it little precise is better. So that's why we are creating something like this. Now you don't have to create all the flowers fully. You can create couple of flowers little visible, because anyways these are in group. So you can create couple of flowers less visible, couple of flowers more visible. So basically for a couple of area you can create only 2 petals, and that is also totally fine because we are creating group, and we need to fill the whole area like a tail, and that is why we called it foxtail orchid. So let's repeat the same thing and make sure you don't have to overdo it. Also we need little space in between these flowers, so do not fill too much but do not fill too less. So in between you can do, and you can have something like this at the end. Now because this is in the group, let me show you individually. So you can create petals like this for the first layer, so 4 petals like this. Now in most of the flowers you can create like this, but couple of flowers could be something like this, a smaller portion of flower you can say. And let it dry because we are going to use darker color. So let this particular structure gets dried completely, and then we are going to move into the next step. Now we need to complete a single flower. So we have created 4 petals. Now we need to create one more petal for each flower that we have, but with the darker color. So again you can have purple kind of color mixing blue or red together, or violet or red together, and with darker shade you can create one petal at the base. So something like this you can do. As you can see, now our flower is completed. 4 lighter petal and 1 little darker. Now let's do the same thing for all the flowers that we have. I think this one is too dark, so let me lift a little bit of color from these two, and maybe we can use little lighter, so you can either mix more water into it to make it more lighter, and start creating one more petals for all the flowers that you can see. Again, it is not like you have to do it for all the flowers that you have created, but think about it, couple of flowers you can see fully, and for that matter you are creating 5 petals for one single flower. Or else you can randomly put this structure throughout this string and you will eventually see a beautiful structure together. So let's repeat the same thing throughout this string in all the direction. And as you can see, we have also covered the string that we have, and we did it purposefully because that flower is something like that only, wherein the flowers are coming from all the direction. So in between you can create little bit of stems visible, or else you can skip that particular part, that is also fine. Now my second layer is also completed. The lower portion have more darker color, so avoid that and try using little lesser darker, and you will see something like this in a group. How beautiful this flower is. Now we are almost done with the flowers. The next thing we need to do is adding little dots of black into 1 or 2 petals from each flower. So with the help of tip of my brush, I am creating these small dots, and these dots are important when you are doing this kind of flower. So these kind of detailing is sometimes important to have. So let's create these dots around each flower that you have, but you don't have to do it for all the petals. Only 1 or 2 petals is totally fine, and you can roughly do this throughout this string that you have. So this could be time consuming, but you have to do it. Another thing is, if you find this technique little hectic and more difficult for you, you can use normal ball pen also to do something like this, because adding small dots with the ball pen is better and easier as compared to doing this with the help of watercolor. So you can use that as well to do something like this. So this is the third step that we are doing. Now last thing we can do is creating the center part of the flower with little bit green or yellow kind of shade. But before that, let me show you these dots into these flowers so that you can see it more clearly. So something like this, we need to do very fine dots, because anyways the flower size is too small. So you can think of how smaller these dots are. Now with the help of green color, so you can mix blue and yellow together to have different shades of green. So with this kind of green, I'm going to have the stem. Now the stems are not that much visible because of flower, but little bit visibility is there, so you can have little bit of stems from the center. I can see the pencil mark that I have created, so I'm following that line only to create something like this, or else you can simply avoid this particular step in between the flowers. You can simply create stem at the top like this, and that's all you needed. But I have created in between stems as well. Now for the leaf, you need to drag your brush little longer, because these are longer leaf. So something like this you can do, and the tip is little bit rounded, so you can fix that, because you might end up having pointed leaf, so you can avoid that and make it little rounded. And you can have little smaller leaf, little longer leaf. Basically leaves are longer only, but couple of them are smaller, couple of them are bigger. So you can create as many as leaf you needed. So I'm doing it with the help of lighter shade of green color. You can do it with the darker color. You can have your own green color, totally fine. These things are totally up to you. So this is the first layer for my leaf. Now let's add more blue into the existing green that we have to make it more darker. and create one more stroke like this in between the leaf. So basically we are seeing the lighter color as well, but we are also seeing the darker color. So I'm applying it in between the leaf that we have. Repeat the same thing for all the leaves. Now with the help of yellow color or maybe lighter shade of green color, you can create the center part of the flower. If you are able to see all the flowers clearly, you can add this particular color in the center, or else you can simply put this particular color in between this particular composition, and you will eventually visualize for some of the flowers the center part is also visible, and that is why we are able to see this kind of color as well into it. So this much is enough for the flowers. We are done with the flowers. I'm creating couple of them at the base, and last thing is I'm adding more green into the leaf area, so more darker color, so you can add more blue and you can have more lines like this. So these are the detailing you can do at the end to finish your painting. And basically we are done with today's video. We are done with this particular flower, and I'm hoping this video is helpful for you guys. Please do let me know if you have any kind of feedback for me, and thank you so much for watching. See you all in the next video.